if you guys haven't saw my last video, I read Mary Had a Little Glam. And I said that I would read The Invisible You. So this book is one of the best books I know. And it's a children's book, which is why I have it today. I will sometimes be reading chapter books, but not right now. So let's start. The Invisible You. I really like this painting. It looks like it's from those pastels. So that took a long time. Everything about Howard's new neighbor is different. Okay, let's read it. The Invisible You by Ellen Page and Kami Page. Artwork by David Gester. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But let's read this and try to make this shorter as the last video. The last video was kind of long. Everything about Howard's this is not comfortable at all. Everything about, I'm just going to read it and then show you the pictures after. Everything about Howard's new neighbor was different. The streets were different, the houses were different, the yards were different. The kids were different, and for the first time in his life, Howard felt like he was different. Different from everything and everyone around him. I don't think that's true. Here's the picture. Who do you think Howard is? I think Howard is this one, and his mom is right here. And there's a pizza shop. Robinson Elementary. Howard stood in front of his new school. He held his mother's hand and offered a shaky smile to the faces staring back at him. Howard had a habit of noticing people. He found one girl's freckles fascinating and another's beaded braids hard to ignore. There was also a boy with greenish cat-like eyes. Howard almost forgot where he was and what he was doing. Almost. As the kaleidoscope of the kids. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Uh-oh. Do you guys see it? I'll show you. Where was I? I can't find it. As the... I know what that's. So I'm just going to skip it. I'm just going to try to pronounce it. As the kaleidoscope of kids captured Howard's attention, he lowered his eyes. He knew he wasn't supposed to stare. He knew he wasn't supposed to be noticing these things. He knew his parents never talked about people's differences, so he figured he shouldn't either. Here's the picture of him. Robinson Elementary, I think that's what it says. He's holding his hand with his mom. Okay, let's read the next page. Scooch a little bit over. Howard barely heard his mother ask, "You okay, bud?" A quick was all he could mutter as he dragged his feet toward the door. He longed for his old school where everything had been normal. His classroom, his teachers, his friends, and himself. Biting his lip, Howard entered the classroom. The teacher, Miss Sims, smiled and led him to a table with 3 children he recognized from outside the school. The boy's name was Ivring? That's a fascinating and unique name, though. Ivring. And 2 other girls were Bernie and Georgina. The class was in the middle of an independent reading, so Miss Sim told Howard he should browse the classroom's library for a book. This looks like Howard and Miss Sims, doesn't it? Before getting up, Howard couldn't help but sneak a peek at his new table mates. Can you guys see this picture? I don't know who that is, so I'm just going to skip it for now, and then I'll show you guys the picture when I'm done reading. Ivrin's skin was as sandy as buttermilk. He was busy reading a thick chapter book. His green eyes zipped past difficult words as his eyebrows raised and lowered with each sentence. Howard sighed. Ivrin looked much harder and more interesting than the easy chapter books he was used to reading. But Ivring's book looked much harder and more interesting than the easy chapter books he was used to reading. Howard just knew he wasn't going to fit in. It looks like that this is eye ring or something. Green eyes, sandy skin, and a chapter book. Let's go to the next page. Bernie's skin was a freckly blend of a soft caramel rye, and Georgina's was a rich charcoal spice. The girls were too busy giggling and sharing a book to notice Howard as he tried to figure out what was so funny. He frowned. They'd probably been friends since kindergarten, he thought. At that moment, he wondered what his old classmates were up to as an ache spread through his heart, filling him with dread. I don't know which one's Georgina or which one's... Okay, Bernie's skin. So I guess this one's Bernie and this one's Georgina? It says Bernie's skin was a freckly. I don't think they've been friends since kindergarten, though. Howard reluctantly chose a book from the shelf. He was only a few sentences in when Miss Sims called the class attention. Boys and girls, as you know, we have a new student starting today. Howard shrunk as all eyes fell upon him. Could you come up, Howard, and share a few things about yourself so we can get to know you better? Oh, great, Howard thought as his hands began to sweat, his mouth dried out, and knees started to shake. So here's Howard, and here's teachers. Let's see if he goes up. Howard wasn't exactly sure where to begin. His cheeks felt hot, and his mind raced to think of something to say. His silence was met with giggles that were stopped with a stern look from Miss Sims. Sharing about yourself can be hard, she said, especially in front of people you don't know. She smiled at Howard. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the invisible you. Howard's face scrunched. The what? The invisible you, Miss Sims encouraged. Oh, I'm going to show you the picture. There's Howard standing. As you can see, each of us is unique. We have different skin colors, hair types, and eye shapes and shades. You've probably noticed the differences in us, and we've noticed the differences in you. Noticing is normal. Howard's eyes shifted. No adult has ever spoken directly to him about people's differences or about what lived inside his heart. Was it a trick? What kind of teacher talks about this? I know my teacher doesn't, Miss Sims continued, but these differences aren't what makes us who we are. We also have an invisible part of ourselves that's impossible for others to get to know without asking questions. The invisible you is like made up of our likes, dislikes, and the things that are important to us and the things we do. Here's the picture. There's so many people. Where's the people from his table? I cannot see them. But I think that this one's Bernie and this one's the Ivan or something. Howard looked down at his feet. I'm not sure. I raised mealworms as pets and have the biggest insect collection on my block, interrupted Georgina. I'm afraid of Georgie's insect collection, squeaked Ivan. I'm just trying to look back at something real quick. Okay. So here's her and her mealworms, I guess. I wouldn't want to see those. Georgina rolled her eyes. I can't roll my eyes. I'm serious. This time, the giggles were muted, but Miss Sim allowed the class to continue sharing. I live with my grandparents who only speak Japanese, added Bernice. Howard never would have guessed. Here's her and her grandparents, probably. Bernie. After several more students shared, Miss Sim raised her eyebrows and gently looked at Howard. Howard took a deep breath. He wasn't sure he knew what to say, but he also knew that he had to say something. At this point, anything was better than silence. He wavered. Well, he breathed. I like mysteries, he offered. Ivan's green eyes lit up at his fingers linked to show a connection that had been made. I think this is the Ivan. This is Howard. Howard continued, and I used to play soccer on Saturdays in my old neighborhood at the park. He saw Bernie and Georgina look at each other excitedly and smile. Thank you for sharing, Howard, Miss Sims said. We can't wait to learn more about you and share about the invisible us in the days ahead. This is probably the first page. Doesn't this look the same? Bernie, Georgina, and Howard, I think. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. The rest of Howard's day raced in by a blur. He found out during writing time that Ivan was writing a mystery and had decided to include Howard as a character. You can see they're writing and talking at the same time. At recess, he discovered that Bernie and Georgina were on a traveling soccer team, and they knew some of the same kids at Howard's old school. Here they are. How long has this been? Oh, this hasn't been that long. On the walk home from school, Howard took a new look at his new neighborhood, sensing the spring in his step. His mother asked, "So how was your day?" "It was great," he said. "Mom, do you know you have an invisible you?" Her eyebrows raised. "I do?" Howard told his mother everything he had learned that day. He couldn't wait to go back to school and see his new friends. Everything was different, but as his teacher had said, differences are normal. And for Howard, normal is good. And that's the end. Let's see. I'm just looking for something real quick. So this artwork was by David Keister or something, and he actually lives in Minneapolis. And if you didn't know, I live in Minnesota. Tammy Page is a second grade teacher who lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She lives here too. Alan Page is an associate justice in the Minnesota Supreme Court. He was elected to the court in 1992 and re-elected in 1998, 2004, and 2010. He is currently the court's senior justice. Allen was a defense tackle with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears from 1967 through 1981. He was selected as NFL's most valuable player in 1971 and elected the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1988. That's cool. He might live in Washington, D.C. I think. So that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this book, and I hope to see you guys next week or on the Palindroid channel. Palindroid. So I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.